Hey, Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. So are you feeling stuck in life, like you've deviated from your life purpose path? Do you feel like you're on autopilot? Chances are you're not in the flow. We're going to talk about what reaching a flow state is and how it's necessary so that spirit can talk to you and nudge you back to what you're supposed to be doing. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. Now, let me just start off by saying this. I've been hearing this word flow for the last 2 weeks.
It's my word.
Yeah. You know what? For today, instead of Jumanji, if you know what Jumanji is and you play Jumanji at home, we're not going to use that word for this episode. Next episode, we're back to Jumanji. But this episode, we're going to use the word flow.
It's going to be a lot of flow.
A lot of flow. lot of flow.
It's going to be a lot.
There's been a lot of flow going on.
Ew,
And
it sounds it's getting gross sounding. Sorry.
All right.
But
Well,
we got to stick with it.
Okay, fine.
That's
fine,
the word.
Fine. Flow.
Sorry, guys.
Flow. Come on, Red guys. Let's go. Get in on this episode.
Just
Flow.
this one episode.
Just this one episode.
Why
All right,
red?
So, well, we try to get red listeners. We have so few red listeners. I'm basically the only red listener.
No, there's others.
There's maybe 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
we want more male red listeners.
Okay.
But anyway, all right. So you were in this, I guess, ebb first, because before the flow comes the ebb.
Ebb.
What ebb were you in? Let's say.
I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to just being on autopilot. You know, you're just doing things because you have to, or you're doing things because you're scared not to. You know, what will people think? What if I don't do this? What if this doesn't work out? You know, planning for things in case your system or structure has an inconvenience. And the flow is just like, whatever, man. You know? Like I have my way of doing things, and if it feels good, it's super emotional and it's super intuitive. Like if something feels good, I do it. If it doesn't feel good, I don't do it. But also deciphering between things that are uncomfortable because they're challenges that need to happen versus things that are uncomfortable, meaning they're things that have to be deleted from my life. Because there's a distinction. And what you'll notice is when you kind of enter the flow state, which is the state of least resistance, where spirit comes in and just moves you through nudges and inspiration and situations and opportunities towards your life path. It is a little uncomfortable at first because you've deviated off your path. Like you have. We all have. Okay. And we've all been there. So my ebb was just feeling very robotic. And I wasn't connecting to joy or feeling my presence. I was feeling tired a lot.
But now you're in the flow. A couple of weeks ago, we did talk about this a little with you going real purple. You're getting a lot. Your purple, right, is in force right now.
Yes.
Very, very, very purple.
I'm feeling,
the indigo is kind of backing off. Yeah, I mean, it's still indigo, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of purple. But let me explain the flow from myself and the kids' point of view. Brianna, our red purple.
Yeah.
And Abby, our purple turquoise. The flow right now is tons and tons of bread.
Yeah.
Sourdough bread. That's the flow to me. Because all we hear you talk about, I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. This is what we hear all day, guys.
Yeah.
I'm in the flow. And the flow, it consists of sourdough bread all the time. You know, it'll be 11:30 at night. I'm practically half asleep. And she's like, I got to go. I'm like, where? Where are you going? I'm going to bed. What are you doing? She's like, I got to flop and fold. What is it?
Do I stretch and fold?
Stretch and fold. I got to go stretch and fold. I'm like, stretch and fold. What?
I set my alarms.
I'm like, the laundry? What are you doing?
Because I'm purple, like a lot of my routine is centered around when I feel like it. So it could be 3 a.m. It could be like, I don't know. I don't know when when an inspo hits me, the flow is reaching me and I must listen to it.
Exactly. And then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, well, what'd you do last night? And you'll tell me this whole saga of this stretch and flow, whatever, stretch and fold. I don't even know what it is. And then there'll be a perfect, nice loaf of sourdough bread ready for me, that's what keeps me happy. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
Well, you're my best customer right now.
I'm a great customer. I hope this stuff is good for us because I've been eating a ton of sourdough bread. I mean, just every day sourdough bread. But, what goes on between like midnight and 6 a.m. now, I have no idea.
Well,
it's the flow, I guess.
All the sourdough is what I'm going to talk about because I'm going to go through what the flow feels like, kind of why it's uncomfortable to do it. And also I'm going to give a pep talk to each aura color and some ideas for you. But like for purples, I'll skip ahead real quick. It's called parallel activities. Okay. So listen, I'm a little limited because I'm married and I got kids, so my purple flow is going to be sourdough. If I had a different life situation, my purple flow might be like girls' weekend on a cruise.
Right. Well,
okay. You gotta
All I know.
You got to accommodate to your life. So you should all be happy that all my purple chose to do was some crazy manic sourdoughs.
I'm going to tell you this. All I've been also hearing about was I need this Dutch oven.
Oh,
I didn't know what that was. I honestly thought that was like something.
Okay.
I'm not going to go there. But I thought it was when a guy or a person passes wind in a jar. That's what, I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought.
That's gross.
Yeah, look, as a kid, we used to do that. As a kid, we used to do that. I did.
Okay.
As a kid, I would pass wind in a jar, cover it up real tight, put the lid on real fast, and then I would give it to someone.
Well, that's disgusting.
Okay, but anyway, so I went to the Burlington Coat Factory. And I won a Christmas exchange there. I won winning the Christmas exchange Burlington, and I found this Dutch oven. This thing is heavy. I am walking around Burlington Coat Factory.
For cheap, man. For cheap.
It's like $50.
Yeah.
And I got this heavy, cast iron Dutch oven. The line, let me just explain to you the line at Burlington Coat Factory. It goes slow. It goes so slow.
It is slow.
Every customer took like 15 minutes. I am holding the Dutch oven. My arm, this is my workout for the day.
Yeah,
I go to the gym
that's heavy.
Guys. Yeah. And I'll tell you, we got the Dutch oven.
Yes.
And the flow has been flowing.
It's been nonstop flowing.
It's been more flowing.
Now I want to do like Dutch oven, like roasts and soups.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. I think we take a little break from the flow.
Okay.
But then when we get back, we're going to get back into the flow. And we're going to do Get In Your Aura Flow.
Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela is sponsored by BetterHelp. So therapy, it can feel like a big investment. And even though we know the state of our mind is just as important as our physical health, sometimes choices have to be made because of expense. So let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, and that adds up fast. But with BetterHelp online therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and time. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. And with online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Personally, therapy sessions I've had years ago, I use daily to this present moment. It's the gift that keeps on giving to myself. And with over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. Having served over 5 million people globally, it's also very convenient. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, and you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/KYA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/KYA. This is a pep talk day because I do a lot of readings, and sometimes spirit just wants you to make room for them to do their magic. And there's one way that can happen. And that one way that can happen looks like a lot of different things, depending on who you are or what your aura is or just what's going on in life. But it's called the flow. All right. So spirit needs you to let them in. They need you to change it up so that your patterns aren't as set. And they need you to let some wiggle room happen so that they can do what they need to do. But changing it up doesn't mean you have to know exactly what you want, like detail for detail for detail. You can have a general wish. Okay, I want to level up. I want to make more money. I want to get a job where I'm respected. I want a relationship where there's unconditional love. Like you could have these goals that are a little vague at first and just lean in that direction, but find your flow while you're doing it. Okay? And this is your pep talk. Like this is me taking you by the shoulders today and looking you in the eye and being like, let's get it together. All right. Let's make some room for spirit to do their magic. So I'm going to talk about what flow is, what the problems with flow are, because a lot of times we don't do it because We'll talk about it, some uncomfortable parts of it. And then finally, I'll give you every single aura color. I'll go through each one and just a pep talk for you, like a pep talk for your aura. And listen, like if you're a blue purple, but the red one speaks to you, whatever. Like we're just about busting through patterns today so that spirit is talking to you. So let's get right to it. So let us start with what is a flow. Okay. A flow state is when you're in the zone. You aren't worrying about what others think. You aren't worrying about the material world, you know, what you're wearing, who you're pleasing, what's in your bank account. Like you're in the zone of self, and it's invigorating and it's hopeful and productive. And if you were lucky enough to feel this at different times of your life, you can probably remember when you were in a flow, when life was just rolling and you were rolling with it, and you took punches and they weren't even that bad. You were adaptable and you were excited to live and you were excited to do the next thing. And you know, things were just fun. That's what the flow feels like. And maybe even at that time you got stuff done. You know, maybe you made a huge move, or maybe you got out of a crappy relationship and met someone else, or maybe you started school, or maybe you just decided to go on the best trip of your life and you wouldn't have said yes, except that you were in the flow. So the flow is when your mind and body are totally immersed in an activity which feels exciting and purposeful and worthwhile. You feel completely in the present. That's what spirit needs you. That's the state spirit needs you to be in, so that they can be like, okay, cool. All right. You're in the flow. You're in the present. Now I can throw things at you that you're noticing. I can throw things at you that you're going to adapt to and modify for. Spirit can come in and do their magic for you. Children naturally do this. Okay. Children are in the flow. Your dog, if you have one, is naturally in the flow, but adults are constantly kicked out of our flow with a lot of 3D world distractions. The way I see it, when you're in the flow, you are not slacking in the 5D. When you're out of a flow, it means you've been slacking in the 5D. What do I mean by that? It means the 3D world does not support a flow. The 3D world is the ego projection material world. How much do you make? What are you wearing? Who's on your arm? What are you driving? You know, you need the next phone. You need the next outfit. You need to be trending. You're doing things because you want to fit in, or fear, or stress, or because everybody else is, or, you know, you're planning for fear-based stuff. Oh, I need to get this so that this doesn't happen. I need to buy that so that that doesn't happen. So that's like the 3D world. It's constantly keeping you in the machine, really, and in a pattern where it's hard for spirit to come in and work with you. You're a cog in the machine. You're a zombie of the system. It's hard for spirit to talk to you when you're like that. And listen, we all are like that every once in a while. Like, it happens. Okay. That's life. Sometimes we're just on autopilot. It's okay. Okay. We have to be nice to ourselves. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But being in the flow means that now you're not slacking. You're probably going to look like you're slacking a little in the 3D at first, because you might be like, I don't care. Meh, I don't want to. I'm not making fear-based decisions anymore. So you might look like to other people, like, what is they doing? Like, but in the 5D, you are just killing it in the 5D. You're attached to you're really connected to your present self. You're doing a lot of spiritual evolution. You're listening to your own desires, what you want. You're separating them from what other people want you to do. So in the 5D, or the fifth dimensional, or the world of the soul projection, you're doing great when you're in the flow. So here's a couple things why flow can be like a weird place to go. So let's go through, I guess, the pros, which are sometimes cons in the flow. Let's start. So flow is what works for you, not against you. You can't change who you are. All right. Like you gotta work, and this will make more sense when I talk about how each aura color needs to do the flow later on, but you really can't do something the way your neighbor does it. Or, on this podcast, we'd say, if you're blue, purple, you can't do what the yellow, blue is doing. Okay. Like and if you're yellow and vice versa. All right. So you have to be you in your own flow, and you can't change everything overnight. So here's just an example. Let's say, okay, I want to get in the flow. I want to be more healthy. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean like we take a 3D approach to it. I signed up for the gym. I'm going, from 0 nights a week to 7 days a week. And I'm eating, going from anything I want to 1,200 calories a day. Like, calm down, like that's not the flow. The flow means it has to work with you. The flow means it's like, you know what? I did movement today and it felt good. Or I ate something because I wanted to, and there are no no's for me. There's no restrictions. It's just me leaning into what feels right, what feels connected, what feels inspired, not forcing yourself to do things. All right. You got to ease yourself in for it to be the flow, and it has to feel great. Like it feels good when you're doing the flow. Flow only works when you're real with yourself. Flow is like the current of your ocean. You can't really change up the current of the ocean. You have to like work with the current. I don't know one thing about boating or sailing, except, I saw Moana a bunch of times because I have kids. So I'm assuming when you're boating and sailing, you have to adjust yourself to the bigger picture, like what's happening around you. Same thing with the flow. You have to adjust yourself and know yourself and be ready to move and adapt. Okay. For example, like let's say you want to meet new people. I want to be in a different relationship. I need a new friend group. I want to have friends that can expand my horizons. Okay. It is the next opportunity that shows up, and you got to say yes to that. So if you're putting it out there, hey, I want to meet new people, and then some friend invites you to her brunch with all these people you don't know, and like you yesterday before deciding to go in the flow would never in a million years show up to this brunch with these people you do not know who they are. You have to say yeah. Like going with the flow means you're like, okay, every opportunity that shows up for you is some sort of nudge from the universe. You got to notice it that way. So opportunities that show up, those are not always something you choose, but then again, that's because spirit has showed up in your life and is now introducing you to opportunities that actually you need to take. When you're in the 3D pattern of autopilot, everything's always the same. And then anything that pops in is like, oh my God, it's like the worst stress. So, you're chugging along your 3D life, and your car breaks down. It's like, oh God, here we are. When you're in the flow and something like that happens, you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting nudged. What's happening? Okay, call the right people up. No big deal. This is life. Moving forward. It's just looking at things differently and then seeing them as opportunities for kind of like path diversions or path bumping. Flow only works when you allow for discomfort. It's not always going to feel like you're normal, because that is the point. You're attempting to deregulate your existing pattern to make way for spirit's interference and their magic and their input in your life to the bigger goal that you have. So a lot of times it is uncomfortable, and you will have to change up your life in ways that other people will have opinions about. So, for example, you might change your mind on something. Like you might have had some sort of set mindset about, I don't know, a social issue or anything really, how things work or how you view something or just how you even speak or talk or your attitude. And then other people may be like, wow, who are you? You're going to change. You might notice that going out with a certain friend who you always used to go out with, suddenly that outing is exhausting to you. Suddenly that is not a sustainable friendship for you. Flow means you will have to edit and delete your life a bit. You can't keep everything the same and adapt to the new changes coming in from the flow. You will have to cut some situations, some people, some practices, some viewpoints out of your life. It is about, evolving. And that is part of the flow. You're kind of a more malleable, movable object. But again, it's always going to feel good. It might feel uncomfortable, but it might, it's always, and it might feel uncomfortable, but you're always going to know that you're moving towards something that feels more authentic to you. Once you get in the flow, things change really quick, and you're going to have to deal with being out of control. We all love control. Every single one of us enjoys control on some level. And as life changes and there are things now that you don't always have answers to, you're going to have to roll with it and adapt to it and learn to let things go and be out of control. And then you'll find that you have an amazing ability to just trust yourself in the moment, to make the right choice or to do the right thing or to deal with it when it comes. And you might find, and this is a great thing about the flow, that you aren't on top of projects that you used to be on top of. Perhaps like little things, like perhaps laundry isn't always getting done or the dishes are, not always washed. Little things like that can happen when you're in the flow, but maybe it's other things too. Like you're not sitting there wondering, oh my gosh, what do I have to be afraid of? And taking steps to remedy it. That might not be something that you're sitting there doing. Like, oh, I have to get this in case this happens, or I have to purchase this, insurance in case this falls apart in my life. There's a line we all walk because, of course, I live here too in the 3D world, and we do need to do 3D things, which a lot of them are fear-based. That is the crux of being here and living in this human body as a soul identity. But when your life is ruled by it, when you're like, okay, I just got all these appointments done. All right, what am I scared of? Make a whole new set. You got to take a step back. And then you have to ask yourself, how much energy am I devoting to being fearful? How much energy am I devoting to making my life scheduled with fear-based stuff? And how much, and like, if you got to make the appointment, if you got to buy the thing, just do it. Just do it and be done with it. And without sitting and wondering and reframing it over and over again. I hope that makes sense. Here's the thing though, when you get into the flow, you're going to feel like a total hot mess. I don't care what aura color you are, you're going to feel purple. And you'll find that you can cross, but it's a good thing because you'll find like, oh my gosh, I can cross bridges as I come to them. And I can dismiss hypothetical fear-based situations in my head. So much of living in the flow is about not spending energy on what hasn't happened or it possibly could never happen in your head. You can plan for fun things. So you can think about stuff ahead of time, like, oh, great trip I want to take, or visualizing my future, or, a night out or a new activity, or what I'm going to do with my friends this weekend. That's stuff that you're going to spend more time thinking future stuff about. But planning for the what ifs of life that are not connected to the present moment, that aren't contributing to the flow, those are going to stave off a bit. And because of that, you might look a little bit, I'm going to put air quotes, irresponsible to other people on paper. For example, you might just find that you're spending more time thinking about what fun stuff you want to do than worrying about everything that you used to worry about in the past. And you might notice that your mind power is now switching to curiosity. What do I want to do next in my life? Dreams, goals, and your own thought processes, and less time worrying about, hey, when's the next car oils change? I better do that. Or oh, I better take the garbage bins inside, or my neighbor's going to give me a nasty look, or things like that. So you might feel like you're slacking, but you're actually not. And another thing that happens in the flow, if you get crazy confidence, you're less like, I can handle it. I don't care. I'll figure it out. And you're not scared of stuff that you used to be scared of. Like, whatever, I look silly, I don't care. Or I ask a question, maybe it's a stupid question, I don't care. Like, you're just like, I'm just living. I'm just here. I'm just experiencing. That's what the flow feels like. And Spirit loves that because that is the mindset. They can come in and drop some hot ideas, some great inspiration, and some really actually helpful people. Also, flow works when you're super flexible with your schedule. So being open to, I don't know, the what ifs in terms of, yeah, Saturday's open, you know, I'm doing this. And then also being open to like, if your friends like, hey, you know, I know you said you were going to stay home and clean, but we're going to brunch. You want to come? Or we're going on this little day trip, or, you know, or we're going hiking, you know, yes, the answer is yes. You got to keep that schedule open, be less strict with your plans, leave room for what can happen. And, you know, just little things too. Like sometimes you might be, oh, I have to make all these phone calls, or I got to do all this stuff. And then you see your dog at the door, just like begging you to go for a walk. Go for the walk, you know, like just do what connects to you. And I realize I sound like I'm telling you to be a total slacker, but again, there's a fine line between personal responsibility, you know, things you have to do. We don't want to do anything that puts other people out, because that's just bad karma, you know, like you don't want to flake on people or leave other people holding the bag. I'm not talking about stuff that, you know, makes other people's life more difficult because you've decided to go in the flow. All right. I am talking about things that do not interfere with that, and things that just contribute. So many times, and I do, when I do reading, sometimes I'll see people, a lot of times these are people that work for themselves. And I'm like, man, you just made yourself the meanest boss ever to you. Like I'll see it. I'll be like, whoa. And how often do we, whether you own a business or not, how often do you do that? How often have you become the really strict parent to yourself in your head all the time? Come on, you know, like what are you restricting yourself for? And think about, okay, like honestly, is this a big deal or not? Is this obviously for my personal health or safety, or is this just gratuitous punishment because of fear stuff? And then ask yourself that question. All right. Also, you're going to have to just let go of your mistakes. And this is the final one. You're not going to be perfect in the flow for sure. You're going to do things that aren't a fit, and you're going to try a lot of activities that make you feel weird and funny. And like I said, you're going to look like a hot mess to everyone, and possibly purple, even if you're not. and people might have odd opinions of you. They may even be like, hey, are you going through something? So like being compassionate to yourself, laughing at yourself, being really vulnerable and honest is important. Hey, I'm finding my flow right now. I'm really connected to the present moment. I'm open. I'm in a place of yes. I'm just proud of myself for trying it out. It doesn't matter if something works or not. You know, I've redefined failure, because there is no such thing. And just throwing yourself is a very brave thing to do when you do it. And when others critique, usually they're just scared of it themselves. But it's who you're inspiring really matters, because you'll see a lot of people have a lot of inspiration from you when you're in the flow. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to talk about each aura color, and I'm going to give you like a little specific aura color pep talk to help you find your flow. I cannot miss my shows, and that's why I sign up for all the subscription services, and then I forget to cancel them. Well, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You get to see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. And for the ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/KYA today. That's rocketmoney.com/KYA. rocketmoney.com/KYA. How does each aura color find their flow? You've heard me say the word flow 4,000 times already, but we're just rolling with it. You're going to hear it 4,000 more times. Okay, now, just because I do these readings, when I talk about the flow, it is this space that spirit can nudge into your life and just put their pixie dust. Spirit puts their messages, they put their inspo, they put the people, they put the things that are going to lead you to your life purpose and your destiny, which you are consciously choosing moving towards when you are connected with your present self. But you ask, Mystic Michaela, how do I find my flow? Well, it's going to look different for everyone. So hopefully hearing a pep talk for each aura color is going to help you unlock, because Spirit's with you right now. Like Spirit is it's like your spirit guides 100%, if you are locked into this, are nudging you right now. And any inspired thought that you get, listen to that. And I always say the voice of Spirit is the first voice. And it's not the loudest, but it is the first one. Your ego will come in and tell you how stupid it is. But the first voice will be like, yeah, that one. Or it'll give you like a parallel idea. All right, so let's go through each aura color. Purple flow. So my tip for purples is for you guys to find what I call parallel activities. That just means that it might have zero to do with your goals at hand. It's just flippin' fun. Okay, so you start something new. You try something that's just interesting. You go somewhere randomly. Just do weird things that make you interested without really thinking about it too much. See what interesting opportunities come out of left field when you're simply just living life on your own terms and having a blast doing it. Let's say you are creative. And by the way, it does not matter if you're good or bad at anything. Just freaking do it. Okay, like, I don't know, I've decided to be a photographer. All I have is my cell phone. Well, take those photos, get into it. Start crafting, join, a cooking class. Like, just get, parallel activities really work for purple, because what you'll do is you'll throw yourself into something that feels like play and feels like self-discovery, and you're putting yourself on a vibration where Spirit loves to rush in. And usually with purples, it happens very quickly once you really lean into fun. Yellow flow. I tell yellow flow, you want to get on your flow, yellows, go on a self-improvement kick. All right. No one loves self-improvement like a yellow. You guys are always trying to fix yourselves. But we reframe it. You don't have to fix yourself because there's nothing wrong with you. So now you're just on a improvement with getting used to myself kind of kick. So get curious about life. And these all feel kind, by the way, and these feel good. And these feel like things that make you feel happy inside and light. Decide what you want to work on most. Maybe it's your voice, speaking up for yourself as a yellow. Maybe it's organizing your life a little differently. Maybe it's just understanding the different teachings that you're so interested in, okay? Feel inspired with your own progress. I mean, get excited about different activities you plan, which are in line with your own self-improvement. Maybe you've always wanted to work on stretching and you just really go all in on a stretch class. Or maybe you've always wanted to learn how to cook a certain way, and you just go all in on a certain way of cooking. See what doors open for you as you invest this energy in your own self instead of what yellow auras normally invest in, which is the processes of others or fear-based plan aheading. I made that word up, but you know what I mean. So you're investing in the process of self. I've always wanted to do this, so do it. And then really, really get into it in your yellow way, All right. Indigo flow. I say I came up with a little line for each one. So purple is parallel activities. Yellow is get on a self-improvement kick. And indigos are treat yourself. That's what I wrote. You gotta treat yourself. Listen, your own little world, your own little whatever that is, your little home or your little corner in the world, that is your heaven and your haven. All your good ideas, all your inspo comes to you when you feel safe and cozy. So make choices about your living situation, which just feels so safe and amazing to you. Create that bed palace. Get the good pillows. Get the high thread count. Okay. Get a little spot for your Stanley to sit. Why not? Spend the money on the batteries for the remote control that you've been ignoring. Do it. Put your cell phone charger real close. Buy the sound machine. All right. Stock. Oh, this is a big one with indigos. From my indigo heart to yours. Stock up on your favorite treat so you're like never without it. For me, it's the Whole Foods 365 lime seltzer water. I don't know why. It makes me happy. Okay. In a perfect world, I need to listen to my own advice. In a perfect world, it's not like a crazy expensive thing. My life is just, you open the fridge and there's always one there, like just do that for yourself. Why not? Invest in the cozy clothes that no one sees, but you feel real luxe in. And listen, like I said, when you invest in the safe space, that's when spirit really can come in and talk to you and inspire you, give you ideas. You're treating yourself well and you feel safe enough to hear these things now. All right, the blue flow. Get specialized. That's my blue flow tip. Learn a craft. Learn a dish. Let other people know that you're doing this. Allow them to be inspired by you and give you the praise you deserve. Do you make the best soup? Of course you do. And when people tell you, say, yeah, thank you. I know it. All right. You make fun pillows. Maybe you read the best books. You got the best book recs. You have the best book recommendations. I do, don't I? Thank you. Own it. Own your specialty. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to shine while you're doing it. And see where else spirit comes in and puts a spotlight on you. With blues, it's sometimes hard to get in the flow because a lot of it is tied up with other people's wants and needs. And that's just a blue thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the right people or the right situations that have to kind of mesh with your own emotional and spiritual, mental health. And if you got to just accept the spotlight and then see where else spirit brings you the spotlight. But when they do, you're going to have to say, yes, thank you. That was me. I'll take credit. Yes. You open that door for me, spirit. I will walk right through it. Because a lot of times spirit gets frustrated with you blue auras because they'll give you the right person, opportunity, situation, idea. And you're just like, oh, I can't. I'm not special enough. So get specialized. Okay. Green flow. Here's my thing. Challenge yourself big time. Greens, it's just me and you. I'm just talking to you right now, greens, okay? There is something you are oddly more interested in than other people. It's okay. It's okay. We love you for it. If you don't know what it is, just ask somebody that knows you really well and they'll tell you. Because chances are, since you're green, you don't think that your odd interest isn't mainstream. How's that weird that I like the geological formations in Wyoming? Like, why is that weird? Doesn't everyone, okay. So you see what I'm saying? Okay. So then go all in on your thing that you're super interested in. Go all in. I mean, get the gear, take a trip, plan a project, get the book. I don't know, like whatever it is, like invest the time and energy as much as you can. And sometimes we got to start small because of budget and time and life. And that's fine too. But just throw yourself into it as much as you can and have that thing and focus solely on it. Allow yourself to have the blinders on when you're really reading it or studying it or doing it, like really, set aside time where this is what I'm doing, which I will find is easier for sometimes men green auras to do than women green auras. So think about it. Maybe it's the garden. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's the project. Maybe it's the deck, building the deck, whatever it is. Throw yourself into it and let yourself not feel, if you feel guilty, it means you're doing it right. It means that your ego's like, hey, wait a second, don't go in the flow because you might get some ideas and change things. Okay. So if you're scared, that means you're doing it right. That's for everyone. And notice that as you do this, okay, as you flow into that focused activity and you really challenge yourself to next level with it, notice who comes to you for advice and assistance, all leading somewhere. And I have a crazy story about this. I had a client and he was the green of the greens. Okay. And I don't know, his weird thing that he was into, and this is a little extreme, he was really into like pipe fittings. Okay. I couldn't even tell you what the guy does. He was just really into pipe fittings for, I couldn't even tell you, but it's like industrial. I don't know. And he would invent different pipe fittings. He just invented them all. He just loved inventing pipe fittings. There's more to it. Not Green is trying to explain this to you. Anywho, he just went for it, like, and then he was like, oh, he's my client, so Spirit's like, patent it, and he did, and then he got his own business, and he's like the only person that makes these pipe fittings, and a ton of companies, like big money companies, are always like paying him to, hey, can you make a pipe fitting for this situation or that situation, and that's just his jam. You need a pipe fitting that's weird, he's there for you, and he's like the only one that can do it. Anyways, if he never like really focused on that, I mean, it's like a whole living and life, and he gets to travel and do cool things, take care of his family, Anyways, that's just like an example. All right, turquoise flow. Oh, this is your catch line. Get weird. And then in parentheses, I put Get weird. Get weirder. Those pants you like that other people seem to think are a bit much, or the flowers in your hair that you want to wear, just do it already, okay? Start to lean into the stuff that's a little weird to most people and just own it. Just own it. Who cares? We don't have to fit in. We're beyond that. We're in the flow. You'll notice that you're attracted to things that a lot of people disregard. That's just a turquoise thing. And there's worlds of self-discovery within as you lean in to do so. So see what insights come to you when you're leaning into things that you find fascinating, when you're doing things that make you feel happy, all the while understanding that other people might be scoffing at you, or other people might be like, oh my God, who's she? What is she doing? Like doing that to you. Leaning into being odd, to being different, to being uniquely you is when the flow really hits you. I mean, the turquoises I see that are in the flow, I mean, there's just like an air about them. They are completely unique. They do things because they want to, and they're getting a lot of ideas, and their life just kind of unfolds. The turquoises are very good at living in the flow once they get going, because they are the flow. They do very well there. Okay, red aura flow, get in front of something. What does that mean? Whatever the thing is that's causing you the most grief, you got to find a way to get in front of it. That's going to help you enter a flow. So you don't like, I huff and puff a lot. I don't like, I'm out of shape. All right, get to the gym or start walking, or just get in front of that. That's like an easy one. Like, I can control that. Or maybe you find yourself, I'm super annoyed with my boss. My boss is on this crazy power trip. Find ways to be a leader somewhere else to people who want a leader. Okay. Like maybe you become the captain of your softball league, or the president of your apartment HOA, or the leader of the coffee club. You organize the coffee club in the break room, or you're starting fantasy football. I don't know, whatever it is. Like, find a different place to be a leader so that you take back. So you have a vibration, you have a space where you do have control and you are the boss. That's a vibration that you're sitting in. That's a vibration that allows spirit to come in and be like, yes, okay, let's give you more opportunities here. And it'll help you find spaces that when you're in control and contribute to positive change, and you stay in there and lean into it, spirit loves to introduce you to people, to give you more of that, and to lead you down a path that will just bring whatever the thing that's causing you grief to fruition. It'll flip the script. Last one, pink flow. And I tell you guys, your catchphrase is make a moment. Making room in the joy bubble. It's just where the flow naturally assists and thrives. I mean, if you're pink, you already know this. It's a little bit of a daydreamy thing. It's a little bit of a fun, playful, on purpose thing. Pinks, aside from purples, will have the easiest time getting into the flow. And turquoises, once they get into it, set aside time for play. Learn how to French braid your hair. I always wanted to learn how to make those fun French braids. I'm not pink, but when you have little girls, that's like a big deal. Like, oh, can you, my poor children, because they're like, can you make a heart French? I'm like, I can't. But let's say you're pink. And you're like, I'm going to do that. That's like a thing for you. Have a friend over for a mani-pedi session with all the fun polish. I mean, plan a picnic at the park like it is your own rom-com. Just be silly, feel playful, and above all, when they laugh at you, take your power from it. I think that's a big thing to be in the flow, because a lot of people are just kind of sad and unhappy, and they forgot how to feel joy, and all they can do is laugh at people who have no problem with that. But I feel like when pinks just make a moment out of something, spirit comes in and adds to that energy and emphasizes the energy and blasts through it and replicates it in other ways. Okay. I really hope my pep talk helped you today. This was the Mystic Michaela Get in the Flow pep talk. I promise I won't say flow anymore. Okay. I really love you guys. This podcast is for you and about you. And I'm so glad you spent some time with us today.